Canada has the fourth largest proven oil reserves in the world. Alberta alone holds around 167 billion barrels of oil. Every single day, Canada produces millions of barrels of crude oil. So here's the question. Why does Canada still import oil? It sounds impossible. How can one of the world's biggest oil producers buy oil from other countries? Is Canada running out of oil? Or is there a much bigger story that most people have never heard? The answer isn't about a shortage of oil. It's about geography, pipelines, refineries, and one of the biggest infrastructure challenges in Canadian history. By the end of this video, you'll understand why Canada imports oil, how it affects fuel prices, and why solving this problem could reshape Canada's energy future. Let's begin.
To understand this mystery, we first need to understand how much oil Canada actually has. Most of Canada's oil is located in Alberta. This province is home to the famous oil sands, one of the largest petroleum deposits on Earth. Today, Alberta holds around 167 billion barrels of proven oil reserves, representing about 95% of Canada's total reserves. That places Canada behind only Venezuela, Saudi Arabia, and Iran in global proven oil reserves. Every day, Canada produces around 5 million barrels of crude oil, exporting most of it to international markets. Energy has become one of Canada's largest export industries, generating billions of dollars every year and supporting hundreds of thousands of jobs. Looking at these numbers, you'd expect Canada to be completely self-sufficient. But that's not what happens. Instead,
imported
barrels
every
of oil are
year.
still
Why? The answer begins with geography.
Canada doesn't import oil because it doesn't have enough. It imports oil because its energy infrastructure wasn't built to move Western oil efficiently across the entire country. Almost all of Canada's oil production comes from Alberta, but millions of Canadians live thousands of kilometers away in Ontario, Quebec, and Atlantic Canada. Moving crude oil across a country as large as Canada isn't simple. It requires pipelines, railways, tankers, and refineries working together. For decades, many eastern refineries were designed to process imported crude oil from countries like the United States, Norway, and in earlier years, other overseas suppliers. In many cases, importing oil was cheaper and easier than transporting Alberta's crude across the country. That's why Canada can export millions of barrels of oil while still importing oil into other regions. It sounds like a contradiction, but it's actually an infrastructure challenge. Think of it like this. Imagine your kitchen is full of food, but it's locked in another building. You still have to buy dinner because you can't easily reach what's already yours. Canada's oil system works in a similar way. The country has plenty of oil, but getting the right oil to the right refinery at the right price isn't always easy. This is one of the biggest reasons Canadians often ask, if we produce so much oil, why aren't fuel prices lower? And the answer isn't just oil production. It's transportation, refining capacity, and the pipeline network connecting the country.
If pipelines are the problem, why not simply build more of them? That question has shaped Canadian politics for decades. Supporters argue that new pipelines strengthen Canada's economy, create thousands of jobs, increase exports, and improve Canada's energy security. Projects like the Trans Mountain expansion were designed to move more Alberta oil to Canada's Pacific coast. For the first time, Canadian producers gained greater access to fast-growing markets across Asia. Supporters believe this reduces Canada's dependence on a single customer and creates new opportunities for long-term economic growth. But pipeline construction has also faced strong opposition. Many Indigenous communities, environmental organizations, and local residents have raised concerns about land, wildlife, water protection, and greenhouse gas emissions. These debates led to legal challenges, project delays, and billions of dollars in additional construction costs. As a result, Canada continues to face a difficult balancing act. How
can the country develop its natural resources while protecting the environment and respecting Indigenous rights? There is no simple answer, but one thing is clear. The pipeline debate isn't just about oil.
It's about Canada's economy, its future, and its place in the global energy market. But here's the biggest surprise of all. Importing oil isn't necessarily Canada's biggest energy problem. The real challenge could determine whether Canada becomes an energy superpower or misses the opportunity completely.
The good news is, Canada's energy story is changing. In recent years, billions of dollars have been invested in new energy infrastructure. The biggest example is the Trans Mountain Expansion Pipeline, which significantly increased Canada's ability to move Alberta oil to the Pacific coast. For decades, most Canadian crude oil was exported to one customer, the United States. But that created a major challenge. When you depend on a single buyer, your bargaining power is limited. But with expanded access to Pacific ports, Canadian producers can now reach growing markets across Asia. Countries like Japan, South Korea, and other Indo-Pacific economies continue to need reliable energy supplies. For Canada, this creates new opportunities. More export markets, more competition, and potentially stronger prices for Canadian oil. At the same time, Canada is investing in liquefied. Canada's energy story is changing. For decades, most Canadian crude oil was exported to one customer, the United States. But Canada's future may not depend only on oil. Canada's energy industry is evolving, and the next decade could be one of its most important ones.
Canada has the world's fourth largest proven oil reserves. Yet, it still imports oil. Not because the country lacks energy, but because moving that energy across one of the world's largest countries is far more complex than most people realize. As new pipelines, LNG projects, and export routes continue to develop, Canada's energy future is entering a new chapter. The question is no longer whether Canada has enough oil. The real question is, will Canada unlock its full energy potential? If you enjoy fact-based documentaries about Canada's energy, economy, pipelines, and global influence, subscribe and join us for the next episode. Thanks for watching.